If you're anything like me, you started your business knowing that you will have to create systems and documentation, and that's pretty much what you've been doing. But as you have been growing and learning and consuming and actually taking action in your business, you realize that the systems and workflows that you created in the past aren't really cutting it anymore. You realize that the systems you created to get you to your 3 or 4 figure business is not going to be the same systems and things that are taking you to 5+ figures. My current pain point, or something I'm really struggling with, is content creation. I basically created a content calendar that would work for me to get going and take action and actually create some stuff. But the more I learned about social media management and content creation, I really started feeling some friction, and my workflow was just not going as smoothly as I wanted it to. So that is what we're fixing today. And this will all be part of a series where I fix small things in my business as I learn. So if you want to be part of the iteration process and learn with me, please hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in all the other videos where I learn how to fix things and make my business better. One thing I believe in when you are starting a business or even working for anybody is that you will be creating systems and processes that are not always going to be relevant for when you scale. So what I mean is, if you are a freelancer now and you are starting an agency and you are onboarding people, you're basically going from a solopreneur to somebody who has a team. And the systems you had for yourself will not always translate really well for everybody you have in a team. So I believe in building an MVP product or something that you know you will iterate on. And also, done is better than perfect. And done is something you can iterate and improve on instead of just like keeping everything in your brain and not getting anywhere with it. And that's the approach I use for myself, and I do also use for any client I have, because I already know how to use a tool. And if I can figure out my workflow and the best way for me to work with that tool or for this goal I'm trying to achieve, then I can always improve it at a later stage once I have some data on like how am I using it, where am I getting stuck with it, or my client, whatever. So with this approach in mind, I basically created a very basic content calendar for myself. And now I really want to fix it because my goals have changed, and also my workflow as I've learned new things. In the beginning, I had a super basic content calendar that I wanted to create. So I knew that I want to like list ideas out. I also knew that I need to keep detailed branding somewhere because, you know, it's really annoying if you are on Canva and you're trying to create something. So I knew I wanted to have some fonts down for myself. I also knew which colors I wanted. I also did some niche specific hashtag research and found out what would be really good for my business. But then I had this really basic content creation and planning list. So I basically created a table or database for myself in Notion where I really can just dump ideas down, and the status, like, am I planning it? Did I schedule it? What the ideas are? What platform I want to use it? And I basically try to link some things together because sometimes I'm creating a long form video and it should go with a short form or like something I'm cutting from it. And then I wanted to easily see where everything is. So I wanted to see how my content is being planned and what I can like expect to do per week. So this is kind of helping me create a to-do list. I also naively created all these views where I could just see what I'm creating for Instagram, YouTube, and eventually I wanted to start a newsletter, but I realized that I never use these views. So this was really just not it was not working for me. I also have no analytics in here. There's no way for me to see if a post is doing well, how many views it's getting, and I really want to increase visibility of my brand at the moment. So obviously I need to kind of iterate or repeat what is doing really well in my content so I can get more views, more brand awareness, more reach. And there's no way in this kind of database that I created to see that. One good thing about this is that I actually created templates for every single type of content I want to create. And the reason I did this is to kind of improve my workflow or make things faster. If you need to do something more than twice ever, you need to create a template for it or an automation or a system. That's just something I believe, and I've heard this a lot as well from other people who create systems. So to account for that, I created these templates that I can click on. So when I have an idea that pretty much everything I need is here, and I don't have to worry about it or think again, like what would I really like to put in a long form and what do I need to remember for a long form video and short form video and so forth. Something else I would like to mention is before I completely revamped this entire thing, I really went to think about what tools am I currently using and what do I keep going back to. I mean, you could definitely use ClickUp for something like this, you could use Google Sheets, you could use Xtiles, you could use Notion. But because I was already doing everything in Notion, I basically want to have one central hub for everything. I don't want to be continuously looking for things and clicking around. So I just decided to stick to Notion. And I did a bunch of research on other people's way of doing these things. And why did I do so much research? Because I obviously have a limited pool of knowledge and I would like to improve what I'm doing. So it just makes sense to kind of look at people who actually do content creation all the time. So I really spend quite a bit of time to look at what they are doing, what metrics they track, what kind of things they put in their content calendar. And then I kind of went to brainstorm this whole new content creation dashboard for myself. I also believe at some point the research isn't useful because you're just getting overwhelmed and you're over consuming. So I basically limited myself to like 4 or 5 videos by people who like had a lot of views on content calendars or content management. Now, taking all of this into consideration, it was time to fix. So the first thing I really did is just create a new page. I don't like building on an existing thing because I use it as a reference and there's a lot of stuff in there that I want to reuse. So I don't want to completely destroy the database I have. But I also really just didn't like the content creation and planning that I have with everything everywhere, because it just meant whenever I was creating content, I had to like remember that, oh, I have this page with the niche specific hashtags and I have this other page with branding. And I would rather have everything linked to content creation in one place. I decided I'm going to build my own little dashboard. First, I created 2 columns because I really want to have a little menu for myself for everything that I really want to do. And I also wanted my social links available. So I have my YouTube here, I've got my Instagram account, and I also have my link to my page that people can use to work with me. Then I also brought everything into one place. I also had branding here because I really want to be able to quickly see what I need to see. So I have my visuals, which is basically my color palette. So I can really quickly see which colors I want to use. And I can also just really easily copy and paste this. I also have my fonts here. And the sad thing is, when I did this, I realized that my fonts were outdated, which is annoying. So I had to go and look at the fonts I was actually really using. I also created like a little table for my content pillars. So I can basically see what I really want to film and the hashtags that are relevant to those kind of pieces of content. Then I also created a hyperlink back to everything. So every single page you see here basically can go back to every other page because I don't want to keep on clicking back to this content creation main page to find anything. I also have a lot of business links. So my Instagram, my YouTube, any feedback I have, my link tree if I need to update anything, any affiliate links I may use in the future for videos. I also have some freebie templates, like things I've actually shared on my long form videos. So I like to just have the links here because maybe I repurpose it for Instagram or something else. Then there's obviously my goals, and I'm trying to also track my growth. So I'm looking at how many people are following me and best posts for the month, and similarly for YouTube, even though I still need to fill that in. Then I also have some resources because I realized that with Instagram, for instance, changing from a square to a rectangle, I kept on being concerned about what the size should be and what should I be creating in, and I kept on like referencing that. And again, as I mentioned before, every single time you need to go back to look at something, or you need to repeat the same setup or structure, you need to just put it somewhere, automate it, create a system, create a place for it to live, so you don't have to store it in your brain. I also decided to create an audit tab, and I saw this in somebody's video. It's basically saying you should audit your business items every quarter at least. I really liked that idea because, as I saw when I was basically updating everything and trying to centralize all my data, I was documenting the wrong fonts I had. I wanted to add more colors and I started using more colors in my post, but I wasn't documenting it anywhere. And I was also not checking if my hashtags were still relevant or anything like that. And luckily, my business or freelancing journey, my official one, hasn't been ongoing for more than a quarter. So, at the end of this month, it would be a great time for me to go and look at it. I also created a little template for this because I just, again, like to have a template, and it's nice to see some consistency. So I basically asked myself a lot of questions, what I need to update, lessons I learned from the quarter, the wins from this quarter, because you need to celebrate the small wins, guys. Otherwise, you're probably going to quit doing something like this. Things I would like to improve, actions that I would like to take, and this is more to assign things to people. because I'm trying to build everything as though I'm going to outsource very soon, because that is the goal. There are certain things I don't believe I should be doing, or that I'm doing exceptionally well. There are also a few other things that I just find I don't enjoy as much, and I would like to outsource it. So everything I'm building, I'm also trying to kind of create a standard operating procedure or some documentation. So if I had to onboard somebody, I wouldn't take so much time to get them going, or to make it very difficult and stressful for me to get somebody going, because I kind of am trying to document as I go along. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It can just be an outline like this is. I'm sure if I had to hire somebody, this could be improved a lot. But as I said in the beginning of the video, done is better than perfect. So we are trying. And I guess now the most important or fun thing is to talk about the content creation dashboards. I basically kept the database I had, where every new idea is a new page. I have the publish date because I need that if I want like a calendar view. And I found that this is very useful for me when I'm creating a to-do list for the month, or if I'm trying to batch create content. Then I basically still kept the type, the platform, but I also created a way for content pillars to be here, because in my previous table, I wasn't using content pillars at all. And I realized that it made it very difficult for me to post things, because I was constantly worrying, is this good enough? Is this what my audience would like to see? Is this something I'm really interested in? Does it align with my brand? So I basically created these content pillars that you also saw on the branding page. And then per content pillar, I am basically linking relevant hashtags. And this is something that I feel I should also be auditing every quarter to see if the hashtags are still relevant. The other thing I have per post is a goal. So I'm trying to either attract people to use my business for themselves, or I'm trying to nurture people, or I'm trying to sell. And I feel that attraction and sales are sometimes very similar, because you can create a reel that is viral and then you may get more clients. What I did is I filter this by status, because I want to see my planning things like in progress work and my things that are scheduled most of the time, because then I don't have to go scroll down forever to try and see what I'm working on. And I also don't want to see anything that is published or scrapped. I do like being able to document everything in a list form, and I just realized that this works the best for my brain, because I just basically put anything I think about here, and then when I am going to look for content that I want to create, I can kind of audit it a bit better. Then I still kept my calendar view because I really liked it. Now, instead of having like all those weird Instagram, newsletter, YouTube tabs, which I never use, I now am looking at metrics. What I really like about this is that I can then try and look at what's doing well, and like what really got interactions and shares and likes, and why it did so well, or try and replicate it. I think the other cool thing to maybe show you guys is templates that I created. This has saved me a ton of time, and I think anybody who is going to create a content creation dashboard and who is repurposing content or actually creating on more than one platform, this would be really, really good. Or even if you're creating on the same platform or like on one platform, having a template that you should always fill out is really, really nice. For instance, for my carousels, I created this. So always when I create a text or carousel, the platform will be auto-populated. The status will be an idea, because unless I'm working on it, it's in the basic phase. And I always populate the type. And then I have some things I would like to remind myself of, like less text or info per carousel. I find that I just try and like put all the value in there. And it, unfortunately, even though you're like, here's all the value, people don't read so much, I find. And I'm trying to limit myself to give actionable value, one idea. Think about how I want people to feel. So I actually have an emotion tab there. When they read my content, for instance, I want to tell a story that can help get that emotion out there. And then I'm obviously trying to still sell a service. I'm not going to lie about it. So everything I create needs to kind of tie in with my service as the solution or the transformation that people want to see. And then I have the content I want to create. I don't like creating anything more than 5 slides, because then I can repurpose my Instagram post for YouTube. And then there's description and keywords that I always need to do. Sometimes I get an idea from somebody else, so I have like an inspiration toggle. And if I'm really running around and I don't have time, I like to have a rough idea that I can just type in, so I know when I come back to the idea I had that I can pick up where I left off. And I have pretty much the same thing for every single platform that I'm posting on. So I also have the same for short forms. I have the same thing for long forms. And each template is slightly different because what you need to do for each of those platforms are vastly different. That was the first thing I fixed. I definitely think in the next video, I am going to be fixing my workflow or speak a bit more about how I use this. I don't know if you would be interested in a basic template of this. If you are, please let me know and I will put it in the description if this video gets enough interest or if people are interested enough. But I really don't believe in necessarily giving people templates. As I said in the beginning, if you're learning about everything, it's great to have a template, but it would benefit you so much more to get somebody to either build you something that really works for your way of work or for you to get to know a tool and then to build what you need, because you are going to evolve, your business is going to evolve, and the more you know how to create what you want, it's probably better for you. So I'm not like all for templates. I think they're fantastic. There's no hate. I've used templates in the past, but templates are still going to cause you some friction somewhere because it's not 100% your way of work or how your brain works, and now you're trying to adapt your way of work to the way somebody else works. So that's really it. That's pretty much what I want to show you guys today. It's just me fixing something that was really irritating me and my workflow in my business. Thank you very much for hanging out with me, and I really hope maybe this gave you some inspiration for what you can create for yourself.